Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Arkham Draft and Die, where everyone's fate is sealed. We just don't really know whether it's for death or retirement. So today we are going into the second round of Dunwich Legacy. Before we do that, we have to upgrade our investigators. We earned 4 experience in The House Always Wins. So we're going to be playing extracurricular activity right after we upgrade our decks. But first things first, let's go ahead and get into our decks. We're playing Zoe and Jim at the moment, and we have a couple of major changes we do want to make to those decks. So it'll be really nice to get some upgrades that maybe aren't just upgrading specific cards that are in our decks, but maybe like getting rid of some bad cards that we drafted. So yeah, that'll be a nice bonus to having the Dunwich Legacy be about like these like XP4 things. These little small XP boosts that Dunwich tends to hand out are going to be pretty difficult, but I think that they should be really helpful nonetheless in cleaning up our deck a little bit. I guess we'll find out though. First things first, we're just going to go straight into the upgrades and ready, set, go. Zoe Samaras. Double check that we got all of our stats right. Taboo list, correct. Dunwich Legacy, return 2 boxes, starter decks. Yep, we're good to go. Okay, so Zoe, what are we doing? Okay, so we have an upgraded Bandolier. Now this is actually really interesting, right? Because upgraded Bandolier means that yeah, okay, 2 different choices that are pretty decent. We have the 4-cost Dynamite, which is, it's fine. It's not fast, which the other Dynamite is. Like, if you get the 4-pip Dynamite, then it's a fast action that you can play. But Dynamite Blast is nonetheless, like, a decent option for dealing a bunch of damage to a bunch of enemies, which can be kind of cool. I actually think level 2 Bandolier is pretty good. There's a couple of reasons for that. One is that like we can hold a lot of weapon assets, which is nice, but it also says that when you have weapon assets held in 2 or more hand slots, you get +1 will. And the reason that we have Bandolier in the first place is because we really want to upgrade Zoe such that she has access to boxing gloves while also carrying other guns. And if we're wearing boxing gloves, we have weapon assets in 2 or more hand slots. So with just boxing gloves and Bandolier, a 3 and a 2, we get a will boost, which is kind of a sweet use of a clothing item. It seems really good. I think the Horror Soak on Elder Sign Amulet is also fine, but probably the Damage Soak is going to be a little more important. There's a scenario card that deals 10 damage to us, and while that's not always going to trigger, and we're really going to try it not to have it trigger, this is nonetheless like a really unique way to get our will up one. So I'm excited by level 2 Bandolier. Let's do it. All right. Galvanize. Ready a Guardian asset. You can take an additional action during your turn, which can only be used to fight. That's okay. Counterpunch. You get to punch an enemy back +2 and deal +1 damage. Also cool. And Lesson Learned, which is 2 XP, and you get to discover 2 clues at your location. Now, I think in this situation, we're actually going to take a close look at Zoe's deck that currently exists. So let's just double check like our current list and see if there's things that we like really care about. We have Evidence, which is very good, and we have Lesson Learned, which is if we get attacked, we discover 2 clues at our location, which seems very powerful. We also have Counterpunch and Galvanize. So Counterpunch is a card that I think we already have 1 copy of, and it's not a great card, but Counterpunch would be nonetheless a good way to deal a lot of extra damage. +2 fight is really strong because we've got only 5 fight in general. It's a spirit, which is nice. I think spirits in general are going to be good because we are playing with the boxing gloves, so I think it's going to be down between Lesson Learned and Counterpunch. The one thing that we do want to keep track of is the Ready a Guardian asset you control, Galvanize. So what are our Guardian assets? It's basically just Greet Wagner. We could Ready Greet Wagner to get additional clues, while also getting an extra fight action. That's pretty nice, but I actually think that Counterpunch or Lesson Learned are going to give us much better results. Counterpunch is really good for basically just killing enemies, which is nice if we engage a lot of enemies. And Lesson Learned is good for gaining a lot of clues, which allows us to replace cards like Evidence, which I don't think are spirits. Evidence is a insight. So we could potentially like cut some cards and then get an Evidence, or we could just get a second Counterpunch and ditch some cards that don't really work for us. I think this is Zoe's deck is actually like pretty well put together. We're not super unhappy about any particular card in it. So replacing an Evidence with a Lesson Learned would be fine. I'd be pretty okay with that, and it's a great way to discover a lot of clues very quickly. I think Lesson Learned and Counterpunch are both great here. I'm probably more inclined towards Counterpunch than I am towards Lesson Learned, since that +2 fight is really generous. But it is difficult when enemies are attacking you. And it's even before resolving the attack. Ooh, that's really cool. That actually means that, like, in comparison to our other one, yeah, even if that attack is canceled, you actually get to do it before you get to punch them before they attack you. That's really strong, actually. Okay, we'll go with that. So we've got a better fight option and we've got a better will option. And that should give Zoe a small boost. So since those are upgrades to our currently existing cards, and I don't think there's any cards in Zoe's deck that we absolutely want to ditch, I think we'll just go ahead and upgrade there and add those cards in, and we're good to go. And Counterpunch goes down to 0. Counterpunch 2 goes up to 0. Now, one thing I can do here is I can maybe just keep one Counterpunch and buy an upgraded Counterpunch. That's something I could consider if I wanted to ditch, I think, specifically Evidence. But I think Evidence is still okay here. It's 1 cost to discover 1 clue, but it isn't a spirit, and, like, if we're drawing spirits out of our deck, we're going to be a lot happier in general. Yeah, let's go ahead and take the Evidence down to 1 and just keep a regular Counterpunch. That should be a standard, like, 4 experience upgrade, so we'll be pretty happy with that. 4 experience required, save that, and we're much better at fighting monsters, a little worse at detecting clues. I think that should work in our favor, so let's go ahead and give that a shot. Okay. With that, we get to restart, and now we're after Jim Culver. Jim is going to be a lot more interesting. He's got a lot worse of a deck overall, so there's probably a decent possibility that we're going to find some cards that we really, really want to get. Song of the Dead. Okay, so looking at our options here, Song of the Dead is a 2 cost that allows us 5 charges to fight with Will, which, you know, fighting with Will is better than fighting with fight, and it basically means we get to fight at a value of 5. We're not that likely to deal extra damage, but we do that every time that we draw a skull, which, if a skull symbol is revealed, not only does the attack deal +2 damage, but Jim counts the modifier as a skull. This is a pretty good Jim card, and it's actually I think it's in the Dunwich Legacy because of Jim. I think we're actually pretty happy with that. Hypnotic Gaze is a card that is just, like, pretty meh. You get to cancel an attack, but you only get to cancel it, like, for cheap, and it's not amazing. And then the random Chaos token will deal damage to the enemy equal to its damage or horror, which can be very good, but typically amounts to 1 damage. So it's like, I paid 2. I didn't get attack of opportunity, which is something I'm probably not trying to do as a Mystic anyways, and then maybe I get something bad happening. I think it's like a 6 and 16, a 7 and 16. I don't have any token manipulation right now as Jim. I don't have, like, Olive McBride or any of the other cards that would make it a lot easier to get skulls. So I think I'm actually pretty happy with the Song of the Dead here. That seems like a pretty awesome option. Okay. Ooh. Now here are some choices. So Machete is 1 experience. That's why it's showing up in the upgrade pile. That's interesting that is legal, isn't it? I'd have to double check, but I'm pretty sure that you actually can buy Machete as a Jim Culver, that's really funny because it's a 1 experience Guardian card, but it is level 0. So you can actually pick it up and you'll get something that gives you extra fight if you're fighting only 1 enemy. That'll give you, like, some bonuses against rats and stuff. I don't think it's particularly good here. It's just kind of interesting, right? Arcane Studies is still very strong, and Emergency Cache is amazing. Like, it's a really powerful card that actually gives us a lot of resources. Let's check Jim's deck real quick and see if he's actually got access to 2 Emergency Caches, because I think what he's currently using is Voice of Ra, and Voice of Ra is not what we're looking for. So if we look at Jim's deck, it does have 2 Emergency Caches, so it'd be upgrading one of our Emergency Caches. We wouldn't be replacing one of Jim's bad cards, namely Painkillers or Smoking Pipe. I think actually what we really, really want to do as Jim is cut Smoking Pipe, because amongst other things, like, while Smoking Pipe heals horror, so does Jim's Trumpet, and Jim's Trumpet is really good at healing horror, so we don't super need anything like that. The Kukri really needs to get out of my deck. It is similar to the Machete in that it also deals to +1 damage. But I don't think, like, either of them, they're both, like, 3 cost assets. Kukri is actually cheaper and probably a little more reliable for Jim. Arcane Studies is really nice, but I think Emergency Cache is probably what I want. We've already got an Arcane Studies and it costs 2. I actually generally have enough cards, but not enough resources. So weirdly, cutting Emergency Cache would actually give us Arcane Studies for 0, which would give us better resources and would give us the same benefits as higher education. without the requirement of having extra cards. It'd be our third higher education, though. I think we take Arcane Studies, and we probably just replace higher education with it. Although, I could feasibly just ditch painkillers. Whichever one I take, that's going to be the rest of my deck. If I take the Machete, then I get to replace one more card with one more 1 XP value card. So that'll get me down to like some potential limits, find us some interesting cards that we might actually really want to draft with. I really like Emergency Cash for the draw. I think that card's really strong. But Arcane Studies commits for a bunch and is also like very, very powerful for what it is. I think we got to go for Arcane Studies here. It just seems like the right card. It's pretty powerful talent, and having multiple copies of this means that Jim gets access to the will that he needs to pass tests, which, as difficult as it is to do, we do have 2 Voice of Raws and 2 Emergency Caches already. So, all right. So we upgrade here. The 2 upgrades that we got were Song of the Dead, which is going to replace Painkillers, I believe. It's just a pretty terrible card. And then beyond that, I think we're going to cut... I could cut Higher Education, at which point Jim would once again be able to take level 0 cards, although I wouldn't actually be able to. Is it a good idea to have like 3 copies of Arcane Studies in our deck? It's an interesting question, right? Oh wait, no, we didn't want to ditch Painkillers. We wanted to ditch Smoking Pipe. That's the one that actually heals horror, and Jim can already heal horror. Painkillers is the opposite direction, and that's fine for us, but honestly, I'd probably prefer to ditch both. I don't really need either. So yeah, why don't we just ditch both of them for the moment, and then we'll just run these cards combined with our Song of the Dead, and be pretty happy with that. Song of the Dead is another... It does take up a ritual slot, which is a little bit rough. We really need something to increase our ritual slots, because Jim has just an insane amount of rituals. But yeah, this is still by and large okay. Okay, so Arcane Studies 2. It's not quite as good as Arcane Studies 4, but it is a nice upgrade, and it still leaves us with another Arcane Studies that we can upgrade later. So Taboo List is 2021. Don't forget that. Save that, Jim. All right, we're finally ready to rock and roll. I remembered to add Dr. Francis Warren to Zoe's deck, so I think we are all set up. And basically the main thing we got to do is hit that delightful build all button, get our decks together, and get everything rock and rolling. Dr. Armitage is worried his colleague, Professor Warren Rice, might be in trouble, so he's asked for your help in finding his friend. He seems unreasonably nervous about his colleague's disappearance, considering Professor Rice has only been missing for a matter of hours. Gathered all cards from the following counter sets. Those should all be set up. Depending on the following, we will shuffle down. Depending on the following circumstances, a different version of faculty offices should be used in this scenario. We want the hours late, which I think we get that from the set-aside pile later. Yeah, and we're going to remove the other one from the game. So the night is still young. It's gone. The hour is late. Is active. Okay. So we also have other stuff set aside out of play, and we put all of the different locations in play. Shuffle the remainder of the encounter cards to build the encounter deck. Cool, cool, cool. So all that should be done, and I think the last things to check are there are some alternate investigator options, and we choose between Orne Library and Warren Observatory. We also spawn an enthralled security guard from the gathered encounter sets. Okay, so search for a security guard. Got one. Spawn it over here. In the administrative building. And grab these 2. Oh, and I should have actually picked my cards before I did all that, but it's fine. Warren Observatory. Good, good, good. Wait, is that how I should do? I guess it doesn't matter. Okay, so I did that entirely by reaction, so I did get a random result, even if I took the top card and pulled it off instead of leaving the top card and drawing it. I guess, yeah. Regardless, we got the result that we wanted, which is a random location in that area, and now the one thing left to do is draw our cards and set our cameras. And I've been thinking about this a little bit lately. Oh, one other thing that I think I want to do is I want to take this thing here. It's a Mythos tracker. Paste that right here. Oh yeah, that's beautiful. It kind of hovers, which is a little weird, but that means that we've got a really nice look at what's going on and what phase it is, which is perfect. And we're starting the investigation phase, so I think that works really well. If only I could I group them together? Could I like lock their states? That would be kind of cool. We'll probably not deal with that right now, but that's an interesting thought. We'll have to consider that for later. Okay, but for the moment, investigation phase, we're good. And 0, 3. Oh wait, shift 3. That's how I do it. Shift 3 to change the state. Cool. Okay, I think we're good. And spacebar to jump back to this. Yeah, okay. Yes. New setups. We won't put that in the remaining videos, but just some like tricks that I've been like picking up from playing with other people and sort of figuring my way around this whole tabletop simulator thing. Okay, so let's go ahead and swoop. We've got Fire Axe, which is a good start. Paranoia we can't keep. Ritual Candles is amazing. Moonlight Ritual is good, but only in certain areas. And Voice of Ra is fine. It's not great with Fire Axe, but it's okay otherwise. I think it's good if we want to, like, use Fire Axe to kill monsters and then do other things. We really need some sort of, like, clue gathering, like Clairvoyance or Rite of Seeking. And that's going to be the most expensive option. But once we have that, we actually won't need Voice of Ra because we'll have a bunch of other stuff. I think I actually throw Voice of Ra back since it gives me a chance of drawing some of Jim's better cards. So we draw one for the Paranoia, and we get to choose if we want to put that one back. Higher Education is pretty meh. We have the, like, extra... We have the other options for Higher Education. I probably honestly should have gotten rid of this card. I think with the low-cost cards in my hand, I don't really want Higher Education. It's not that strong in Mystics, and I think I'm going to cut that very, very soon for Jim. So let's just draw 3. 1, 2, 3. Emergency Cache, Arcane Studies, and Ineffable Truth. That is not everything we need, but it does include our Higher Education that doesn't suck, and our way of getting resources. And so that's pretty cool. So Fire Axe notably like pairs really well with our basic weakness, which causes us to lose resources. We're definitely going to want to play down as many things as possible in the first turn. Looks like it's going to be 3-1-1, and then maybe even play Arcane Studies, or 3-0-1, and then play Ritual Candles later. I could probably do that. But if we play all of our resource options first, then we'll get better results then. So regardless, I feel pretty happy about that. And Zoe's got to get guns. Zoe's got to get ways to fight things. There's 2 guns. There's a bandolier. That's, yeah, it's pretty good. I don't think we need a second bandolier, so let's go with that. And we need an ally, right? So do we want to keep both 45s? I think that's a pretty handy way to start the game. So yeah, sure, let's do it. Okay, Dynamite Blast. Do we want to just start by going, you know that enemy over there? It's a 3 health enemy. After it attacks, you discard the top 2 cards of your deck. After it's evaded, it's defeated. Oh, so we don't actually have to throw dynamite at it. Jim Culver can do it. Yeah, it'd be like Ineffable Truth, Arcane Studies, walk into the location. Does he have Doom on him or anything? No, but he does have Hunter and Retaliate, so he'll chase people around. Okay, so we'll deal with him a little bit, but I think we want to do some like investigating as well. So, that's going to be interesting. We do have to deal with him. We might not have to deal with him this way, but it's curious. It's curious. Zoe gets resources for engaging with him, which notably she doesn't get for throwing dynamite at him. And the dynamite might end up being useful later for testless damage, so I guess we'll have to think about that. Regardless, we are now in the investigation phase. And with that, I think we can... It's a shame. Oh, I can. No, I can't. Would be nice if I could click on these, but I don't know what unrestricted view means, but I'm okay with that. Okay, so each investigator is going to begin play in the Miskatonic quad. That's Jim and Zoe here. You've arrived at the Miskatonic University campus in search of Professor Warren Rice. Classes are over and a mysterious silence hangs in the air over the quad. This agenda will advance at 7. After hours. Professor Rice was last seen several hours ago by one of Armitage's students in the Humanities building. We need 6 clues to advance. Okay, so we need to pick some clues from various different locations. Obviously having like a Rite of Seeking or something would be really strong here, but otherwise I think we're okay. What encounter sets have we shuffled in? Looks like... Okay, I recognize that one. That's sorcery. That's the one that kills you if you have no cards in the deck. And Whippoorwills and Ancient Evils, Locked Doors... I guess I could just read them. Agents of Yog-Sothoth. I was identifying them all by notes, though. Oh, Bishop's Thralls. I didn't know that. That's interesting. And Dunwich. Yeah, okay. Cool. So, 2 early winters strip the trees bare, their dead branches whistle. Surrounded by fences and gates of wrought iron, you can't help but feel as much a prisoner here as a guest. We can resign, but that will cause Armitage to be sad with us. Beyond that, I think we're okay. Resigning early probably gets us, like, Armitage, I assume, if we fail. But, like, because I think it's, like, the basic idea is you have to try to get to Warren fast. You have to try to... You have to try to get to... Whoever you don't get to fast gets kidnapped, and then if you get defeated, then Armitage gets kidnapped as well. I think that's the way it works. I don't know for sure. Okay, so stats are correct. Everything else is good. It's time to go. We got will instead of book for evasion. What is your evasion? It's 4, so I'd be testing 4 against 4, which, I mean, Ineffable Truth, Ritual Candles, Arcane Studies would get us there. We could also use Fire Axe, which is okay here. What is that? That's a 5 attack to deal damage. It's kind of neat. Zoe, on the other hand, is something like pull a gun, move in, attack, and then take a damage from the engage, which would be pretty meh. I don't think it's super good. The one bonus to that would be that we could play Bandolier, which I think is pretty reasonable. Live and Learn is cool. Dynamite Blast is cool. Honestly, I feel like hucking a dynamite at the enthralled security guard is pretty interesting. It spawns on top of you otherwise, unless there's things that spawn in, like, central locations or something like that. We're not going to get enemies stacked up on each other. On the other hand, the Whippoorwill is very likely to be something that we could potentially leave behind to do other things. So it's either, like, test our will or test our fight twice. I kind of feel like testing our will is the way to go, so I think we're just going to ignore it and move into some locations and figure out where things are. Okay, so we got a good chance that the doctor's in the science building. I don't remember what's in the humanities building. I don't know what's in anywhere, actually. It looks like the humanities and the Warren Observatory connect to each other, so we can kind of, like, we can't really rope-a-dope the enthralled security guard, but we can at least not get trapped by him, so I think that'll be a reasonable start for us. Zoe needs to find a place that she can investigate really, really easily. So let's go with... Science building, student union, humanities building, administration building. I'm going to guess the student union has a pretty low clue value. I don't know for sure. Even at this late hour, you can hear a muffled chatter from inside the student union. Perhaps one of those students will know where Professor Rice is. After the student unions is revealed, put the set-aside dormitories into play, heal a damage and a horror for 2 actions, which is, you know, kind of a neat thing to have, but not a especially important thing to have. Door leading in the dormitories is locked. You can't move into the dormitories. Action 2, drop a gun. And what is the shroud value at the student union? It's 2. What's Zoe's book? It's 1. So Zoe's book is 2. We've got to live and learn, but I don't actually think I care. What's the failure? If you fail, discard the top 5 cards of your deck. Now, live and learn, we will still get that exact hit, but this might be worth going for. What else can we do with our turn? We've paid 4 for a gun. We could gain a resource to play a Bandolier. Or we could draw a card and try and get better stuff to fight with. We need clues. Jim can get us some, though not especially well. Jim can pretty easily take a damage as long as he can also invest some will, which he can. All right, let's draw a card. Rabbit's Foot. Okay, well, that's a really nice thing to play. I'd be pretty happy to play it. All right, Jim, what have we got? We got Arcane Studies, we got Emergency Cache, we got Ineffable Truth. I feel like Ineffable Truth, Ritual Candles, and Arcane Studies are really important, but I also like Ineffable Truth, Fire Axe, and Arcane Studies. Honestly, all of these cards are really important to play. Jim needs to play Ineffable Truth so he can evade the monster. He needs to play Arcane Studies so that he can basically do other things. And he needs to play Ritual Candles to have bonuses, so I think that's okay too. That puts us at 1 resource and all 3 actions flipped, and we're going to take a damage when the enemy moves into our location, but then we'll be ready to evade it, which I think will be a good deal. Weird investigation phase, but not the end of the world. So let's go to enemy phase. This guy moves up because he's got Hunter, jumps on Jim, and then he attacks us for a total of beep boop boop, 1 damage. Okay. That leads us to upkeep. When upkeep happens, we each gain a resource and draw a card. Wow. That was fast. Okay. That also cost us the resource that we just gained, so I can't use higher education on the ineffable truth. That's a little rough. But we did spend most of our resources before that happened, so I feel okay about that. I did shuffle this, right? I definitely did. We're going to shuffle anyways, just to be sure, but yeah. Okay, Counterpunch is cool. It's a really, really solid option. This is the special Counterpunch too, which is awesome. Bandolier is really neat. Rabbit's Foot's really neat. I think Rabbit's Foot will actually give us like some extra card draw when we investigate this bad location. So that's kind of neat. The main thing that's a little bit wrong is that Jim doesn't have resources, so he can't like easily stop this thing from hurting him. But he can fix it with arcane studies, kind of. So it's you know, it's here and there. I would say that by and large our cultist and our -2 are both like pretty okay, right? So we've got quite a few zeros in the deck. We could definitely evade 4 against 4 and see what happens. I would much prefer to do something else. Regardless, Mythos phase happens. Doom goes up. Hi, Mythos. Doom. That's the one thing. I do have 2 of these, and I feel like I should maybe remove this one for now. Beep. Okay. The Doom goes up, and then we deal encounters. 1 to Zoe. Hunting Recollections. For each card in your hand, if there's a copy, take a horror. Take no horror, discard the top 3 cards of your deck. Okay, we can do that. 1. There goes Safeguard, sad. There goes Taunt, and there goes Vicious Blow, rough. Okay, and then Jim. You got Resurgent Evils. Ooh. Jesus. Okay. Either draw the top 2 cards of the encounter deck or place 1 Doom on the current agenda. Top 2 cards of the encounter deck can bury us, potentially. But Doom is potentially even worse, and Zoe's right there to like help with enemies, so I think we just do it. Beyond the Veil. Okay, that's put into play, and we also Surge. Light of a 4/1, 1 per agenda act, treat all damage as direct damage, and horror as direct horror. That's rough, but we don't really have a lot of soak anyway, so let's put that on the act. And then we still draw 1 more, I think. Or those are the top 2, but no, the Surge happens, so. Spawns at the location with the most clues. That's actually where Zoe is. So Zoe's got a thing to deal with. And it has Retaliate. Okay, well that was rough, but it wasn't the end of the world. Getting Beyond the Veil this early sucks, but Jim has high will, so hopefully he won't be into like a bad situation where he just ends up discarding a bunch of cards. He is going to be kind of stuck with himself as far as like evasion and stuff goes, so. You know, Zoe's turn's pretty easy. I think Jim wants to do this alone unless Zoe can help with the evasion attempt. Speed, a question mark with Live and Learn, but it's better to use for skill tests we're failing. Yeah, okay. So I think it's actually Jim first, and if Jim can successfully evade this without too much issue, then we are in better shape. After it attacks you, discard the top 2 cards of your deck. Oh, and it did attack us, so we have to do that. Oh, wait. I managed the order of that wrong, so I just have to play it as it lies, but that actually should have discarded my basic weakness instead of the Song of the Dead and the Rite of Seeking, both of which were really good. In any case, we did do the wrong ordering, so that's what we get. After Enthralled Security Guard attacks you, discard the top 2 cards of your deck. After it's evaded, it's defeated. So, Emergency Cash will help us evade it quite a bit, but I think we can probably just afford to go 4 against 3 because we're Jim Culver, and Jim Culver is a gosh dang superhero. 4 against 4. Here we go. That's a skull. That's a 0. We evade the Enthralled Security Guard, and Jim Culver. It's actually a +1. Action 2 and 3 could be to go into the student union and clear those clues since we don't have like good investigation yet. Zoe can also clear those clues though, and it's kind of like Zoe's thing at the moment, so maybe we go somewhere else. Let's try Humanities Building. Professor Rice was last seen in the Humanities building, teaching one of his Latin classes. The murky windows of the weather-worn structure emit no light, and the night is silent around you. Power is out, plunging the building's halls into heavy darkness. There is no sign of Professor Rice. The end of your turn, if you're in the Humanities building, discard the top X cards of your deck. What X is the amount of horror on you? I don't have any horror on me, so I can stay here for a while. Investigation is 3, so we'll need to... Oh, man, we'll need to draw a card. That means, like, another turn that we don't live, though, right? Oh, action 3, gain 3 resources. That'll give us the books we need to make the investigation checks anyways, and should be just a lot better in general. We do need to write a seeking, though. Okay, Zoe, your turn. This is pretty simple, I think. 1 bang, 5 against 2. -1 succeeds, Thrall takes 2 damage. 2, play Rabbit's Foot. 3, investigate. 2 against... whatever the heck we're investigating against. 1. 2 against 1. I can do that. That's a skull. It's a -2, and if you fail, you discard the top 5 cards of your deck. Yeah, I think we're okay with that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Draw a card off Rabbit's Foot. Zoe getting what she wants. I dig it. Okay. That is the end of the investigation phase. Enemy phase, nothing happens. Upkeep, we go to resource and a card. Resource and a card. Flesh ward's cool. One thing about this change up is that I do have to like zoom out a little bit more to get everything working. But actually, if I zoom out all this way, so I can just do that, it's a little bit awkward, but I think it'll work. Okay. Jim's got a shriveling, so we're really good at fighting monsters and really bad at investigating clues right now. Which is kind of a problem, but not the end of the world. So go to the Mythos phase from here. We put the Doom up by 1, and we draw encounter cards for each of us. Whippoorwill, so that's an enemy at Zoe's location. Infinite doorway attached to your location. Oh, I don't know this one. This is new. There's an additional cost to move into or out of attached location. Discard the top card of your deck. If the discarded card is a weakness, draw it. Otherwise, for each copy of the discarded card in your hand or play area, you must either take a horror or discard that card. Huh. That's gonna be rougher the more stuff we have. I don't like it. But we're gonna be staying here for a while, which actually doesn't make it better. Regardless, yeah. Interesting. Okay, Zoe. Zoe's got the Whippoorwill. Whippoorwill is super easy to kill, but also requires us to do, like, things to not be bad at stuff, which is not easy. We definitely want to kill it, but I don't know what the best way to do with that is. Could just draw cards and try to get our things. Could gain a resource and play Dr. Francis Morgan. I actually really like resource Francis Morgan, and then, like... well, there's a possibility of, like, Bandolier or something, too, but resource Francis Morgan actually really sets us up for anything we want to do in life, so we might do that. Now, I'm investigating 1 against 1 now, which is certainly not great, but I'm also not at a point where I currently have the spirit, and I'd rather, like, try to mill through my deck once than play dance around sorcery. I don't know. It's a bit more random, but I think it's okay. Okay, so 3 against 0 against... that's just action 1, action 2. Action 3, we're going to investigate 1 against 1. Auto fail, draw a card. Great Wagner. That's actually really good, except we don't have charisma yet. So Francis Morgan is our current card. Annoying. All right, Jim. You need the shriveling for sure. Well, you also need Rite of Seeking. You might just want to play the Fire Axe. Let's draw 1. Let's play Rite of Seeking. And let's investigate 4 against 3. It cost us all of our resources, so we can't spend Arcane Studies on this, but 4 against 3 feels pretty good to me. It's not bad. -2. All right. It is somewhat bad. using up our Rite of Seeking charges is probably not a great plan. So, all right, well, that's unfortunate. Actions have been taken, so from here we go straight to that. The camera there. No, that won't work. And then from there, so I just go like Shift 3 and yeah, okay. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. Doing some interesting camera moves at the moment. That was the investigation phase. So now we go enemy phase. Nothing happens. The whippoorwill's already on us. It's not engaged. It's actually at this location. Mythos phase. Doom goes up to 3. I think Shift 3 is the way to do that. Okay, and then we deal our encounter cards. One for Zoe, another whippoorwill. Okay, that's actually perfect. Yeah. Okay. And then I somehow missed upkeep. This is upkeep. All right. So Jim gets the final Rhapsody. Reveal 5 Chaos tokens for each one revealed. Take a damage and a horror. 3, 4, 5. Not bad. 1 damage and 1 horror for Jim. And it's direct. We can't do anything about it. Zoe, what did you get? You got boxing gloves. So now we have to get you a bandolier and a bunch of other stuff. You're currently sitting in a room with a bunch of whippoorwills, so we really, really want you to have like a bunch of resources right now, and that's really unfortunate because you don't. But you've got some other things going on, so it's possible we could do some stuff here. I'm currently 0 against 1, and I can retry at +2. Gaining resources feels like the best thing to do at the moment. Counterpunch would definitely kill a whippoorwill, but that's not super useful. Yeah, so Zoe probably needs to get out of here and move to a different location, but we'll eventually be able to set up and do some interesting things here. Jim, on the other hand, is good to go. Okay, so I moved the Doom up to 3. I dealt the encounter card, the whippoorwill, and I don't think I dealt the encounter card for Jim. Second Beyond the Veil. Okay, that means Zoe's safe, so we're mostly okay on that part. Investigation phase is next. From there, yeah, Jim just has to like not discard as much as possible. Is basically the idea. We have resources, so we can spend resources on Rites of Seeking and stuff like that. We want to beat -3 pretty regularly, I think. I believe that's the most common. -3, -3. Yeah, there's 2 -3s and 2 -2s, and like those are the things that we really have to beat. So gaining a resource and going 6 against 3 would be pretty good here. I think that would get us a decent amount of clues. What about Zoe? What's Zoe doing? Zoe is just like running away from Will-o'-the-Wisps for the moment, maybe doing some exploration. I don't know. We could just try to investigate this area, but I don't think it's super good. I think I'd rather like... We definitely don't want the whippoorwills on us next turn. Let's go check out the science building. After science building is revealed, put the set-aside alchemy labs into play. When you fail a will test in the science building, you take a damage. That's not great, but I guess we're okay. So that's 1, 2, and action 3. I guess we're going to gain a resource since we've already got 8 cards. Wish that I could play the bandolier here, but I can't, so that's rough. It's another low investigate value area, so possibly we can get some clues here, but yeah, it's not looking great. Jim, your turn is either draw a card or gain a resource to try to make this test better. Yeah, we'll gain a resource, and then we're going to spend 2 resources to Rite of Seeking at 6 against 3. 0 succeeds. We pick up 2 clues from this location. With a little more work, we can pick up 2 more. The last action I can do is 4 against 3, the Rite of Seeking again. That'll waste my last Rite of Seeking charge, though, so it might be better to just gain a resource or draw a card here. I don't think drawing a card is correct. I think gaining a resource is correct. Continue to use Arcane Studies. Continue to play it very safe around Beyond the Veil, because, like, we just need willpower for all the things. Okay, that's investigation. Enemy phase. Whippoorwills move into the center area. The Mythos phase. or the upkeep phase, resource, and a cart. Emergency cache is great. Resource and a cart. We got another dynamite blast. I think I'm going to discard that. It does give you a will. That's nice. Okay, that leads us to Mythos. So encounters and Doom. Don't forget Doom. Zoe, what you got? Test 5 will. For each point you fail by, discard the top card of your deck, and also for failing, you're going to take a hit. Your will's currently 4, so you can pass this. Maybe throw Flesh Ward at it. It's 5 against, and that's a slightly better chance of winning. After you failed, after resolving all effects from the failed test. So that won't actually work for Visions of Future Past, because you won't pass the skill test. Okay, here we go. -5, we failed by 5. Now we discard the top 5 cards of our deck. And we take a damage. Annoying, but not the end of the world. Jimbo. Vassal of the Lurker. Hunter at the end of the enemy phase. Each investigator at Vassal of the Lurker's location discards a card from the top of their deck. So it's time to go, it sounds like. We can set up to kill Whippoorwills this turn, I think. I think we got a pretty cool plan here. So 2 things can happen. One, I can attack this thing for like 2, and then I can have Zoe just run across and murder it. 1-2, shoot again. Oh, but Vassal's on us. It engaged us, so. 2 is we can ready a stick of dynamite and make a daring dash. I think that probably works better for me. So I'm going to spend 1 resource on an evade. That's 5 against 2. Ineffable Truth. Now spend another resource on an evade, 5 against 2. Each investigator at Vassal of the Lurker's location discards a card from the top of their deck. Deals a damage and a horror direct. We spent both resources. Now we're evading 2 against 2, and I think that kind of has to be where we're at. Doesn't help me to evade 2 against 2, though. It's actually better to fight 3 against 3. Well, no, the evade does prevent us from taking some damage that we'd rather not take. Alright, let's give it a 2 against 2. That's a skull, that's a 0. Vassal of the Lurker is evaded. That's not how I want to spend my turns, but, you know, we'll live. Alright. If only Zoe could pull you. I don't think that's the case, though. Okay, so Zoe's actions are pretty straightforward. We just, does it have a prey? It does not. 1, 2. And 3 is to shoot. That's our first bullet fired. It's a 5-6 against 3. Can definitely deal with that. -1 succeeds. Put 2 damage on this thing. Okay. Bad investigator phase, but it happens. Enemy phase. These 2 guys. Whippoorwill 1 and Whippoorwill 2. Come down here. And now everybody's got tons of negative skill values and everything's kind of terrible. Jim can go like Rite of Seeking that 1 shroud location, so that's something. We go to the upkeep, so boop, and gain a resource, draw a card. Gain a resource, draw a card. Silver Twilight Acolyte. Prey Bearer only, so it's just on you. And if I evade it, it will not actually attack Jim ever. But it also keeps Zoe pretty busy this turn. I think we're okay, though. Yeah, we're fine. If an enemy attacks you before resolving that attack, we can actually kind of kill it. This is going to be a little bit rough. Jim, did you do upkeep? Yeah, and you got a shriveling. So, stuff is happening. I can emergency cash shriveling and stab the lurker, so that's nice. Vassal of the Lurker engages on Zoe. Ooh, I would really love to just like evade, walk out of here, or maybe even like blow everything up. Like if Jim just left, we could like throw dynamite at ourselves. That sounds better and better the more I'm thinking about it. Oh, and the Silver Twilight Acolyte engaged us too, so we get a resource from that. That's beautiful. So we actually have it. You know, I'm pretty sold. This has been like kind of a cluster, and we need to get some sort of interesting clue value out of it. So let's go 1, 2. Am I going to go to the science building, or am I going to go to the student union? Science building is 3 against 2, but it leaves clues for Zoe to get. Better yet, why don't we just like walk into this location and see what it is? Warren Observatory. After you discover one or more clues at Warren Observatory, discard 3 cards from the top of your deck for each clue that was just discovered. It's a victory 1 value, but I have to discard 6 cards to it. That's a hell of a risk. That's action 1. We are in investigation phase now, right? Oh god, no. No, we're still in Mythos. Doom goes up. Okay, so the Doom goes up. The encounters are dealt. Light of a Forgamon. That attaches to the act again. And Jimbo gets a second Vassal of the Lurker. This one spawns on him, so he's engaged with it. So I can't just move then. I do have to move to the observatory if I can, because I forgot to, so... Alright, Jim. You can't evade with Ineffable Truth anymore. You don't have speed. You've already drawn Final Rhapsody. What if we just blew them all to hell? Like, this is a horrible mess right now. And we need actions for you to do stuff. That's pretty intense. But, yeah, let's go ahead and start with, Gree Wagner. Dynamite. Silver Twilight Acolyte dies. Both Whippoorwills die. This Vassal of the Lurker goes to the victory display. Nice to have victory cards, by the way. This one takes 3 damage. And Zoe takes 3 damage, which I guess we'll put on Dr. Francis Morgan, because why not? Can I change that to 3 without drawing it? Yep. And then Jim takes 3 damage. Not that Jim was, like, not taking damage before. Alright, that's Zoe's action 1. Action 2 should really be to shoot the Vassal, but Live and Learn doesn't prevent me from dealing damage when I do that. So that's interesting. We're currently 5 against 3. 6 against 3 if we shoot with a gun, which does give us a much better chance of hitting. But if we fail, we shoot Jim, and it's direct damage. I don't think I can risk shooting Jim this early. It's just... It doesn't seem like a good idea. Pretty sure it's a bad one. Pretty sure it's relatively terrible. We can discard Gree Wagner to this, so you know what? That, I think, is actually reasonable enough. We can fire the No, let's discard Gree Wagner and attack 6 against 3 without the gun, because we only need to deal 1 damage to this. And if we fail, we don't kill Jim, which is kind of nice. So 6 against 3. 0 succeeds. Another dead vassal is a lurker. What's not to love? All right, so through dynamite, punched a lurker, currently a badass. That was all of our resources. I don't know what our next action is. Like, gain a resource? Because we need to start playing boxing gloves and stuff. This is pretty rough. Okay. Jim, hi. You hurting, bud? You wanted to go to the university, the observatory. I did forget about Infinite Doorway. So discard the top card of your deck if it's a weakness droid. Otherwise, for each copy, take a horror, discard that card. Okay, here we go. Go into Warren Observatory. We have to discard a card for that. On top of our deck. It's Voice of Ra. Have we got a Voice of Ra in our discard pile? We do not. Cool. So that's action 1. Action 2, gain 3 resources. Action 3, we're going to write a Seeking at a good value here. 4, 5, 6. 7 against 3. Want to go a full 8 against 3? Let's just go 7 against 3. Cultist is a -1, -5, they're a 10. We're okay. And we get a +1, so we actually pick up both clues in the Warren Observatory, and we discard 6 cards, because, yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, Jim's got 13 cards left to retirement. We will have to get out through the Miskatonic quad if that is a thing. That's investigation. Enemy phase. No enemies left alive. Upkeep phase. Resource and a card. Resource and a card. Let's double check that we have Zoe. Glory. Cool. I like it. And with that, we jump back into Investigator. So, wait, no. We jump into Mythos. Doom goes to 6. Encounters are dealt. Secret door. Most investigators without a secret door. Investigators can't leave this location. Test 3 will to search for the passage, or 3 fight, 3 book to discern the way out. If you succeed, discard secret door. Zoe doesn't super want to be in the Infinite Doorway area anymore, I don't think. Jim's testing 4 will to leave, which is also fine. I think Zoe's location is probably correct because we can live and learn that. And Jim can, like, do other things at the moment, so that feels pretty strong. All right. We no longer have any Rite of Seekings, so we're just, like, trying to get some base investigates done. Jim's action is going to be 1, 2, pull a clue off Student Union. I don't just get the clue. I do have to test for it. 3 against 1. And I think we spend another to make it 4 against 1. 0 succeeds. Cool. That's 1 clue. How many clues do we have in total? Jim, you got 5 of the 6 needed. Cool. Zoe, hi. Secret door. You have to discard the secret door. It costs an action to get out of here for sure. So test will. 4 against 3. Doing it straight. Doing it straight. -3. Live and learn. +2, we succeed. We also get to draw a card off Rabbit's Foot. Prepare for the worst. Good times. Secret door is discarded. There it goes. That's where we put it. And Zoe. Action 2, gain a resource. Oh, wait, no. Action 2, play Bandolier. And action 3, move into the Miskatonic quad so you can be a little closer to Jim here in the Student Union. All right. That is the end of the investigation phase. We go to enemies, then upkeep, resource and a card. Smite the Wicked. Discard cards. Attach Smite the Wicked to the enemy. Spawn at the location furthest from you. Oh, this isn't. Oh, wait, no, this is too bad because. Wait, is dormitories the location furthest from us? Helpful welcome. Eldritch Accord. Gross. Gross. None of these are monsters. We drew all the monsters out of the deck already. Oh, good. It's a whippoorwill. That's not too bad. Okay, so that goes into the dormitories, and it gets this thing. What is this thing? Where is it? Here it is. Smite the Wicked. If the attached enemy is still in play, Zoe Samaras suffers 1 mental trauma, so we have to kill this whippoorwill, but we're otherwise okay. That was upkeep. Did Jim get his as well? Nope. Resource and a card. Newspaper. +2 books while investigating if you have no clues. Oh, that's nice. We do have clues, but we won't have clues in a moment, so. Mythos. Doom flips. The university is dead silent. The shadows coil about your feet as you walk, and you swear there is something more following you as each step you take. Is it your imagination, or is there really someone or something stalking you? Each investigator with 5 more cards in his or her discard pile takes 1 horror. Each investigator with 10 or more cards in his or her discard pile takes 2 horror instead. That's direct horror as well. 10, 2 horror. Oh wait, no, the act's over, so we can assign it to other cards. Zoe, 18, 2 horror. All right. Extracurricular activities. So we advance directly to Agenda 2B. A cry of fear echoes through the campus, and several scientists flee the eastern side of the university where the science building can be found. Could this commotion be linked to Professor Rice's disappearance? If the dormitory's location is not in play, put it in play. If the experiment is in play, move it 1 location to the dormitories. If the experiment is not in play, spawn it in the science building. Okay. Beast unleashed. Some kind of wild creatures on the loose. Whatever it is appears to be heading towards the university dormitories. This agenda would advance by reaching its doom threshold. Instead, remove all doom in play and move the experiment 1 location towards the dormitories. If the experiment enters the dormitories, advance. Okay. Dormitories are in play. The experiment spawns in the science building. It's got 13 health. When the enemy phase begins, you ready the experiment, and if it's defeated, you advance to Act 3B. Okay, so we have to punch it and then like evade it, or punch it and drag it away. Both options, I guess. I forgot to draw a card off Francis Morgan, but it's way too late for that. I think we are all done with the Mythos phase. Yep, Doom goes to 0, but encounters are still drawn. So here we go. Infinite Doorway. Oh, that's annoying, but not the end of the world for... No, it's in the Miskatonic quad. That's a problem. I guess it's not too bad. Okay, Enthralled Security Guard on Jim. Hi. You're tough to evade. I don't like it. Can we view anything for books? Nope. All right. Zoe, what you got? You can definitely shoot things. That part's not too hard. But we mostly need resources. And also to kill this dang whippoorwill. Okay. So. Massive. Deals 2 and 2 damage. Move the experiment towards the dormitories, but we can drag it backwards potentially. So there's some potential value there. It's also 2 to evade, so... I mean, evading would be really, really good here, actually. I think Jim needs help. I don't think we can effectively evade that monster. As nice as it would be to do so. And we do not want to get attacked by that thing. We do have a problem in that Jim is still pretty low on health. And that causes a lot of issues here. I guess not too many for Zoe, because Zoe can engage as an action to, like, make things a little easier, but 2 speed still means we don't really get to do things other than punch. I guess we're going to counterpunch. Okay, Zoe, what's your current damage value? Like, if you were to just go in there and start fighting this thing. with the 45 automatic and the counterpunch. You probably want to load at least one more 45 automatic. I think that's our way to win here. Jim evading 3 times again might be really good here. Like 2 against 2 is much better for Jim than it is for other characters. Oh, it's 2 against 4. Never mind. He can't evade. That's not going to happen. So yeah, I think it's Zoe. Zoe's got to save him. That's 1 to move in. I gotta be really careful here. But we do have to shoot. 6 against 2. That's as good as it's gonna get, I think. Wait, engage. For a resource. I don't like it, but it does mean that Jim can just... Oh yeah, Jim can just do this. So instead of shooting the gun, which we need, let's go 5 against 2, or 6 against 2 without shooting. 6 against 2 deals 1 damage. -3 succeeds, that's 1 damage. Jim's turn. We're going to lay down the fire axe. Going to attack with the fire axe with a +2 bonus by spending a resource. So that's a total of 5 against 2. -2 succeeds, and we deal 2 damage because we have no resources. So goodbye, enthralled security guard. That was very well done. And then for our last action, we'll investigate 3 against 1. Skill is a 0, so we succeed. Cool. So that's the last clue, and we get to advance the act as well. Beep. We were unable to find Professor Rice, but one of the students you spoke with mentioned a strange man entering Rice's office. Unfortunately, the door leading to the faculty office is locked at this late hour. Student says that the head janitor, Jazz, might be able to let you in if you can find him. Shuffle the encounter discard pile and set aside Jazz Milligan into the encounter deck. Concerned for Professor Rice's safety, you seek out the head janitor who can let you into the locked sections of the campus. Spend a clue to discard the top 5 cards of the encounter deck, top 10 if there's 1 player. If you discard Jazz for any reason, resolve his revelation. When you take control of Jazz, advance. So Jazz is in like this like set of 9 cards in the encounter deck, notably. Which means we're pretty likely to draw him without having to even investigate any further. So I think we should focus primarily on other things. Regardless, that's the investigation phase. During the enemy phase, the Whipper will move to this location, which is fine, because Zoe really wants to murder it. The Doom goes up to 1. The experiment's still staying where it's at. And every time it's going to move, I think we want to be basically in the Miskatonic quad with guns ready and fire axes available. Encounters. Thrall. Not amazing. Don't like it. Oh, it spawns on the location with the most clues, which is actually the science building. I don't think I care about that. Wizard of Yogg-Sothoth, prey least cards in hand. That is, in fact, Jim. Hunter, when an engaged investigator draws a Hex or Pact card, Wizard of Yogg-Sothoth attacks that investigator. Okay, that's a little annoying. Upkeep, we never hit upkeep. That was my bad. Resource and a card, resource and a card. Got a bandolier, which doesn't really do much here, and got boxing gloves, which definitely do something here. This thing deals quite a bit of damage, annoyingly. Jim can hit it 5 against 3 right now by spending resources to be good at stuff. Can't do more than that. I guess I can discard a Shriveling if I want to, but... yeah, it's tough. Got 10 cards. Okay, so Zoe really wants to shoot the Wizard of Yogg-Sothoth. In order to do that, we need to engage the Wizard of Yogg-Sothoth, I'm pretty sure. I think we can soak 2 horror worth of damage, but I don't love it because it means we can't soak damage from the biggest enemy. Jim can also soak 2 horror worth of damage, but Jim can't fight this thing effectively. +2 fight, 5 to deal 2 to it. I think Jim should go first. Oh wait, no. There's a pretty simple way to do this, right? The whippoorwill's standing at our location. Jim's fight value is 2 right now. Oh, but he can't engage the Wizard of Yogg-Sothoth. He can't engage without getting attacked by the wizard. So, yeah, that doesn't do anything. I think it's got to be Zoe. Zoe has to engage. Fight engage. And then Jim has to punch the wizard. Okay. Engage the whippoorwill. So that's we're currently -1 to skill values. And that's 5 if we shoot, or just 4 if we attack. We can throw this bandolier at it because we definitely don't need that. So that would be what, 6? -1 is 5 against 2. I think that's pretty reasonable. -5. Okay, so we wouldn't have succeeded that anyways. Engage. Same thing. Yeah. Okay. Jim. Your job is to kill some things if you can. I think we start by fighting. We don't go 2 against 2 against the whippoorwill. Well, I don't know. Maybe we do go 2 against 2 against the whippoorwill. If we hurt Zoe, that's not a big problem. But if we hurt. Yeah, okay. So I think we're actually just fighting against the whippoorwill. Action 1, punch 2 against the whippoorwill. Auto fail. Deal 1 damage to Zoe. Action 2, punch 2 against the whippoorwill. 0 succeeds. Whippoorwill is dead. And so is Zoe's weakness. Action 3, spend a resource to punch 5 against 4 against the Wizard of Yogg-Sothoth. -4 fails, deal 2 damage to Zoe. Well, that's unfortunate. Okay. Enemy phase is next. Or rather, yeah. Okay, we're very bad at keeping track of this thing now. During the enemy phase, this thing's going to deal 1 damage and 2 horror to Zoe. But first things first, we're going to counterpunch. No, actually, we're not. I think we're just going to shoot. Yeah. Damage and 2 to Zoe. That sucks, but it is what it is. That's enemies. Upkeep. Resource and a card. Zoe's cross. Beautiful. Resource and a card. Massive enemies are considered engaged to all enemies at their location. Rise to the occasion is beautiful. That should be good. Yeah, I like it. 2 higher than your base skill value. Your base skill value is 3. You're up against 4, so you can't really use it here, but it's always interesting. Okay. Zoe. So that was upkeep, and now we're into Mythos. Doom goes up. The experiment moves to the Miskatonic quad. That's the science building. The experiment moves towards the Miskatonic quad. All right. Encounters. Eager for death. Ooh, that's bad. Oh no, that's really bad. Zoe, what can you do? Nothing. I think we're gonna have to say goodbye to Francis Morgan here. I've got a question mark. But the test is like 7, is that correct? -1 fails, so we take a horror and we put a horror on Francis Morgan. Bye, Francis. Sorry, bud. Jimbo, your encounter. Jazz Mulligan. Put into play at your location. He's got 2 and 2. That's going to be helpful because we're probably going to throw him underneath a horrible monster at some point. Okay, Zoe, shoot Wizard of Yog-Sothoth. You don't have the fight bonus anymore, though. That's going to make it a little bit rougher. What's your shot? 5 against 4. Well, Jazz can't do it. Let's make it 6 against 4. -2 succeeds. That's 2 damage. So you got a resource for engaging. I don't think I did that. I can't evade it, really. Wait, does it say put into play at your location? Oh, well, he's not controlled. You parlay test books to get control of him. Okay, so he's not here yet. He's just, he's parlaying. And that'll allow us to, like, go into the dormitories and scoop clues off of it or something. Okay. Well, that's a bullet. Next bullet is 5 against 4 again. If I commit Zoe's cross, I don't think I'm going to like the result of that. Yeah, 5 against 4 again. Skull, that's a -2 if you fail. Discard the top 5 cards of your deck. And no, Jimmy doesn't get to boost it. Wait, ritual candles. During a test you're performing. Okay. So discard the top 5 cards of our deck. We're dead. We died a direct horror. One last time. 7 against 4. Jesus. All right, Jim. If you can kill Zoe, that's actually okay. Spend a resource to fire axe. That's going to be 5 against 4. 0 succeeds. Dead wizard. Action 2, draw a card. Oh, Jim, you're so close. You're so close to being able to do the things you need to do. You need to heal horror from Zoe, but you can't. Zoe's going to die to horror on the next draw. We don't move now. We can parlay with Jazz for 3. Oh, wait. Did Zoe take an action that wasn't shooting? No. Parlaying with Jazz is test 3 books. If you succeed successful, take control of Jazz Mulligan. So Zoe had parlayed, which was an action she could have done. I could have thrown the glory at it, and that would have been a potential chance to win. But I think we auto-failed, so it didn't matter. All right, Jim, what are we doing? Gain a resource. Okay. Enemy phase. Nothing happening. Doom's back at 0. Upkeep. Resource in a card, take a horror. Can't cancel that, so Zoe's driven insane for this one. And Jim, what have you got? Trumpet, rise to the occasion. You can, but you can't really fight unless you successfully parlay. Okay. Okay, so Zoe's out. Mythos phase soon goes to 1. Didn't I gain a resource, Jim? No, I drew a card and drew my trumpet. Okay, so encounters. Just Jim. Third Beyond the Veil. It's pretty good. And also, yeah, we did the Doom. Okay, so we're done with Mythos. That leads us to Investigation. Jim's going to... Can you deal 13 damage to an enemy before it moves in 2 turns? I think the most you can do is 12. So at this point, the prominent thing to do before you end up discarding any cards. Let's parlay with Jazz. Five against 3. -1 succeeds. Jazz is under our control. Let's walk into the room with the experiment. Let's resign. Get out of here, Jazz. I think we're done. I don't think we can do anything else, so we just have to bail with what we've got. We cleared Warren Observatory, so Jim resigns. Zoe's driven mad and runs away. And let's see what happens. No resolution was reached. Each investigator resigned or was defeated. As you flee from the university, you hear screaming from the northern end of campus. An ambulance passes you by, and you fear the worst. Hours later, you learn that a rabid dog of some sort found its way into the university dormitories. The creature attacked the students inside, and many were mauled or killed in the attack. In your campaign log, record that Professor Warren Rice was kidnapped. In your campaign log, record the investigators failed to save the students. You are haunted by guilt. Add a curse token to the chaos bag for the remainder of the campaign. Or a tablet token to the chaos bag for the remainder of the campaign. Write a curse. And put it in the bag. Cool. Each investigator earns experience equal to the victory X value of each card in the victory display. Each investigator earns 1 experience as he or she reflects on the night's events. Oh, nice. We got like a little extra bonus. Wait, I don't think like successful resolutions will give you extra experience like that. That's interesting. Otherwise, we proceed to interlude 1 Armitage's Fate. So we actually got 4 experience, which no, I don't hate. Let's mark that. We'll mark a mental trauma on Zoe. And 4 and 4, yeah, it's good to go. We spent our experience there. Okay, so what do I write in the campaign log? Professor Warren Rice was kidnapped. The investigators failed to save the students. That's a little rough, but, you know. Sometimes bad stuff happens. Oh, wait, we got the Wizard of Yogg-Sothoth as well. We killed him. He's worth 5. So that's 5 victory points. Isn't that delightful? Proceed to interlude 1 Armitage's Fate. Oh, I did want to double check there weren't any victory point values. Nope, yeah. We would have had to like go to the dormitories or something. Oh. Whoops. Well, yeah, I guess if we parlayed with Jazz, we could go to the dormitories, grab all 6 of these clues and leave. Oh, dang. That would have worked. I didn't even know the dormitories did that. Well, that's something to file away for later. Could potentially be a thing. Okay, regardless. Proceed to interlude 1 Armitage's Fate. When you arrive at Dr. Armitage's home in Southside, you'll find him sitting at his desk, pale-faced and sweating with worry. He is grateful to you for searching for his colleagues, but he doesn't look relieved. With a long pause, he straightens his glasses and explains. I'm afraid I must apologize. There's something I didn't mention to you earlier. Dr. Armitage then spins a tale you would scarcely believe had it not been for your harrowing experiences earlier that night. In your campaign log, record the investigators rescued Dr. Henry Armitage. Any one investigator can choose to add Dr. Henry Armitage to his or her deck. This card does not count towards that investigator's deck size. It can be found in the Armitage's Fate Encounter set, indicated by this icon. After you draw a non-weakness card, discard that card and exhaust Henry Armitage to gain 3 resources. So, notably an ally, which is a big deal, gains resources. I think that's actually more helpful for Jim than it is for Zoe, because Zoe's already got a resource gain option, and Zoe needs Warren to get extra fight and extra cards to play the resources. Whereas, like, with this, like, for Jim, this is pretty strong, because A, it allows him to play Rites of Seeking and Shrivelings with, like, extreme prejudice. We get to just throw a ton of them. And then we can throw away, like, bad cards, which Jim has quite a few of, like Higher Education and Rise to the Occasion. But B, it also means that if we're in a situation where we just need to fight things, his first attack is always going to be a 8 against 3. Like, this perfectly synergizes with Fire Axe. Oh, wait, no, I guess Upkeep means that we can only do, like, a... We'd have to spend some resources on something to use the Fire Axe, so it doesn't quite perfectly synergize, but I think it's definitely a Jim card. So that's that. Last bit of business, I think, is to do the upgrades, and I think we'll do those right now. So let's go ahead and go to that recording and get it put together. We might put that in the other video since this was an hour 14, so I'm guessing that'll be at the start of the next video. See you guys there, and let's do the upgrades. Cheers.